Hello, you're watching World Talks on TVP World. My name is Sasha Farbach. Now, 3 host nations, 48 teams, 104 matches, and a record-breaking $727 million prize fund. By every measure, World Cup 2026 is the largest football tournament ever staged. Yet, FIFA's showcase event is opening amid debates over accessibility, security, migration, and the growing overlap between global sport and politics. Now, to chat about the latest sports action in the studio is me, Jon Carter, sports correspondent, TVP World. Welcome on the pitch, if I may say that.
You may. Thank you for having me, Sasha.
So look, I mean, big numbers here. 3 host nations, Canada, the United States, Mexico. How usual is that, and what kind of challenges come with that sort of thing?
Well, yeah, of course it is unprecedented to have 3 host nations before, and also 3 enormous land masses as well. So it's not like it's going to be some quick travelling. In the past there was always a lot of talk about, the tiring nature of doing so much travelling for players. It's difficult to know exactly the, how much energy that you kind of expend doing that now, because they'll kind of fly business class on private planes. So I don't know to what degree that affects things, but yeah, as a kind of logistics exercise, it seems wild. But let's hope they've got everything under control.
Yeah, but under control, that's the big thing. I mean, there's been also quite a bit of controversy around this tournament. Looking at what FIFA's president Infantino just said about it, I'm quoting here, the greatest event in the history of mankind. Now, if we're looking at the issues with certain visa for fans and teams, the ticket prices, what do you make of his statement there?
Yeah, well, to go on to one of his other sort of catchphrases is that football unites everybody and we're open for everyone, and etc. And of course, a lot of the kind of pre-tournament situations rather contradict that. So, yeah, it's really a lot of tricky situations. I think, whilst all this is kind of bubbling to the surface right now, and this has been going on for years now with these awkward scenarios with regard to the geopolitics with Iran and various other things that we've seen with countries which are, or rather the citizens of certain countries prohibited from entering the States. I think a lot of it is going to slightly fade back once the first ball is kicked. I mean, we can get into some of the issues right now because the reason why I say it kind of fades into the background is I'm just going on previous experience. Before the 2018 World Cup in Russia, we had all kinds of sort of controversies. Before the 2022 World Cup, there was controversy around the sort of labour issue and kind of, hundreds of people dying building these stadiums and, all the kind of protests against that. And then, Messi steps on the pitch, scores a wonder goal, and we don't really hear anything about it again. So I wonder to what degree the sort of controversies will kind of rumble on through the tournament once the play begins.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, there always have been certain things where people are a little bit more concerned about this, but this is seems to be no exception. You mentioned that first ball that's going to be kicked. Now, the opening match today, Thursday, in Mexico. It's Mexico and South Africa. So just from a purely sporting side, if we're looking at it, what are you expecting of that game? And maybe also follow up on that, which other top teams do you think that are going to go far on this one?
Yeah, well, quite often the opening match tends to be quite a tense affair. It's always one of, or in this case, one of the host nations, but the host nation that's playing, and the kind of weight of expectation tends to hang sort of heavy in the air, and therefore you get a rather tense affair. And very often the opposition play with a degree of freedom because they are not as kind of feeling the weight of expectation. So I'm not expecting a classic, but at the same time, I think Mexico, whilst not a team full of star names, I think they have a kind of outside chance. And I would say, not of winning the whole thing, I should add, but maybe as a dark horse reaching the last 16. rather because they have a team which is relatively united in that sort of sense. With other teams involved, I think there's some more obvious names. I particularly think that Spain appears to be the most balanced of all the teams coming into it, and they're actually the favourites to win it overall. On paper, England, you'd say, also very balanced squad. And then I would say that there's a bunch of other squads which are filled with these star names, such as France and Brazil and Argentina, which don't have that same degree of balance, which is really necessary. It's, you know, the World Cup has shown time and time again, it's not about having simply the best players. It's about finding that special balance. You know, the last World Cup, Argentina started terribly, lost their opening match to Saudi Arabia, and stumbled through the group phase, and then kind of eventually found their rhythm, found a formation, found a strategy to make the best of their strongest players. And that really is what the tournament is all about. It's finding the kind of synchronicity between certain players and finding matchups and pairs all over the pitch, and really a coach settling on a formula. And that doesn't even usually happen in the first game or before the tournament. It usually happens during it.
Let's also talk maybe other dark horses who have a chance. Let's focus on our region here in Central Eastern Europe. Unfortunately, Poland didn't make the cut this time. But there's some other countries in our region, including Croatia, Bosnia-Herzegovina, and the Czech Republic. So where do you rank them? Will they make it further? What's your take on that?
Well, I think we should first look to Croatia's recent history, which is absolutely incredible. Back in 2018, finalists, third place in 2022. Phenomenal for a country of their size. I would say, though, that they fundamentally still rely on the same players as they did about 8 years ago, which, in the extreme heat, we're talking anywhere between 35 to 40 degrees if you're in the south of the States or Mexico, I think it's going to be very tricky for them to go deep in the competition. But I would say they're definitely the strongest nation from Central and Eastern Europe. Bosnia and Herzegovina, this is just their second World Cup. They also appeared in 2014. And going back to relying on veterans, they rely heavily on their 40-year-old striker, Edin Dzeko, for a bit of magic. Tiny nation, just over 3 million population. So I don't think the weight of expectation hangs too heavy over them either. As for the Czechs, extremely disciplined and rather defensive unit, and they are certainly the outsiders of those three. I don't expect too much fireworks from them, and I wouldn't expect especially exciting games. But, you know, again, going back to the kind of formula that you need at the World Cup, discipline, strong defensive unit, well organised. These are really the crux of things which give you that foundation to progress. So I wouldn't count them out.
It's also, I mean, in terms of scale, the largest. Is it 48 teams? Never been like this before. Some for the first time. Countries like very small countries, Uzbekistan, making for the first time. But let's talk about a little bit controversy with Iran. I mean, they've had their base moved, right, from the United States to Mexico. Them being in the tournament, how do you assess that's going to play out in terms of, I mean, can you then separate really the politics and the sports here?
You can't, is the short answer. But, yeah, well, first thing to say is completely unprecedented, where we have a situation whereby the host nation is involved, you know, in open military action against a fellow participant at the World Cup. It's really extraordinary when we zoom out, because we've had all these things in the past where you get this huge hype over, you know, one nation facing another, and, you know, historical tensions or recent tensions between them, even going back to US and Iran facing off about 20 years ago. But this is to another degree. You know, the average Iranian is not permitted to travel into the States, and yet here you have players coming into that region to participate in matches. You know, I think another thing around this is going to be the Iranians based in the States who are going to be attending the matches. What's their reaction going to be to the team? We don't really know. Are they, for them, sort of stooges of the regime that they strongly are against? Or are they going to sort of be supportive and say, we're going to put our best foot forward and support our nation, and we're rather going to separate the sport from the regime that we oppose? So I don't know whether to look forward to or be worried about a potential matchup between the US and Iran. Now, the way the draw sort of pans out, it's a bit unlikely, but I mean, what a mind-bogglingly bizarre spectacle it would be if they were to match up.
Right. So, I mean, with 13 different kickoff times, 3 nations, unprecedented games, there's going to be lots to comment on over the next few weeks. So it starts off today as kickoff in Mexico. But look, we'll close it there. Jon Carter, thank you so much for all that. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you for watching. That concludes World Talks, but stay right here on TVP World for more. Goodbye.